Okay, today we are going to move into the realm of exponents. So we are going to look at exponential equations. So that's when we have something where we have a base and then we have an exponent.
I love this topic.
Yeah, it's cool. Hey, so Futi, you'll get the quiz at the end of the lesson. We'll send you a link and it will take you to where you need to be. Okay, I was also sleeping, Yusuf. I also woke up for this lesson. So I feel them who are sleeping. Okay, so let's have a look at this first little bit because we actually first have to really understand exponents before we jump into exponential equations, because some of them are nice and easy and some get a little bit nasty. Let's have a look at this. What I'm wanting to do here is I'm wanting to write these numbers all with a base number of 2 and then have an exponent, okay? So what I mean by that is I could write 16 as 2 times 2, that's 4, okay? That would give me 4, times 2, that would give me 8, times 2, that gives me 16, okay? So there are 4 2's. So I could write that as a base of 2 with a power of 4. This number over here, just so as we're working through things, that number is the base, and that number is the exponent. Some teachers may say power, and some teachers may say index or indices. Okay, so any of those words that pop up, those are the types of words that we are looking at here. All right, so the cool thing is that your calculator can actually help you with some of these. So I know these ones are all nice and easy, but when we get to some tougher ones, your calculator can be a good friend. So I want you all to grab your calculator. So make sure you have it somewhere nearby. Just grab your calculator quickly for me. And we're going to do one that we know the answer to, okay? So we know that 8 is equal to 2 cubed. But let's have a look at this over here. If I wanted to find out what it looks like with a base and a power, we can put 8 into our calculator. So all I've done is I've typed 8, and then I've pushed equals. So I'm just going to write up here what I've done. I put 8 into my calculator, then I pushed equals. Then I'm going to push the shift key. And then you're going to look for the key that looks like this. It looks like a full stop almost, and then some brackets. And then above it in yellow, it says fact. You're going to look for that key. So that's what that key looks like over there. And you're going to push that key. And then you'll see that it is equal to 2 to the power of 3. So this just helps us when we start dealing with slightly bigger numbers. This always gives us our prime base. So it'll always be a prime base with its exponents. It's just a quick way to do it if you're struggling. Okay. Okay, let's go through some of the other ones. How would I write 4 with a base power of 2 and an exponent? Tando, yes.
It would be 2 to the power of 2.
Beautiful.
Well
Excellent.
done.
Can I keep you on the line? Can you tell me how I could write just 2 with a base and an exponent?
Would it be 2 to the power of 1?
Perfect. 100%.
Nailing it.
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to move on to Tiana for our next one. Let's see. Tiana, can you help me with 1? How would I write 1 with a base of 2?
2 to the power of 0.
Yes.
Well done, Tiana.
Okay, so this one is one that comes up in exponential equations a lot. Okay, so that's one that we want to make sure that we're aware of, that we know that 1, we can write it with any base as long as the power is 0. Now let's get into some tricky ones. 1 over 2 and 1 over 4. Who thinks they can help me with this? Who thinks they can help me with this nasty one over here? 1 over 2. How on earth am I going to write that? As a base of 2 and an exponent. Oh, Kutluano, how can I write that? I think you may need to, it might be your, if you're using headphones, you may need to disconnect them Okay, I'm going to give Non-Claire a try here.
Ma'am, please just continue calling me Unati.
So you want to change your name, but you want me to call you Unati when I see this
No,
name?
ma'am, it's because there's another Unati.
But you
So
don't have
call
two
you-
Unatis.
We can call you Unati 1. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe some-
How about that?
no.
What if we call you Unati 1?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
That's
I
fine.
promise I'll still call you Unati when I see your name, but we'll just label it as Unati 1.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. How could I write 1 over 2 with a base of
Ma'am,
2?
you can say 2 to the power of -1.
Excellent. Excellent. And can I keep you on the line for 1 over 4? How could I write that one?
Ma'am, 2 to the power of -2.
Great. Okay. Nice work. Excellent. So when I'm writing this, I could write that 1 over 4 as 1 over 2 squared. And then remember, when we have powers like this and they move up or they move down, remember the fundamental law. If I have x to the -1, that's the same as 1 over x. This is the law that we're using as we're working with these exponents. And so if I'm wanting to bring that 2 to the power of 2 up, it has to change from a positive to a negative. Okay. So these are the things that are really, really important. I'm just going to also put this in a little green cloud because these are the ones, this yellow cloud and this green cloud, those are the ones that they like to use to really try and trick you in these types of questions. Okay, does anyone have any questions on what you are seeing on the board at the moment? Let me know.
Take screenshot, guys.
Footsie, how can I help?
Ma'am, I'm just want to clarify what I'm seeing on my screen.
Okay.
So when you got 2 on 1 over 4 is equals to 2 to the power of -2. Did you get the -2 by saying 2 to the power of 2 is equals to 4?
Yeah, so this 4 over here, that's the same as I could write that 4 as 2 to the power of 2, okay? But then if I'm wanting it to not be a fraction, if I want to move it from the denominator up to the numerator, then that power that was a positive has to become a negative. So when I move it up, because that's the same as writing 2 over -1. So I'm swapping them around. And when I do that, then that power has to go from a positive to a negative.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, but a nice thing you can do is in your calculator, you can actually test it. So if you push the exponent key, so if I write 2 and then I say to the power of -2 and I push an equals, you'll see that it gives you a quarter. So then you'll know that you'll be okay.
Yes, I found it.
Okay, good, good.
Thank you.
No problem. Precious, how can I help?
Afternoon, ma'am.
Afternoon.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask, I think, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, didn't they say that we're not allowed to have a negative exponent?
Yes, so your final answer, you never want to have negative exponents. So when you're doing exponent work, you always want your exponents to be positive. But when we're doing equation work, sometimes we need to make them negative in order to help us find the solution.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. It's so nasty, like mathematicians and maths, we have all of these exceptions to everything. So we tell you when you learn something, no negative exponents, always keep it positive, and we like drill that into your head, and then we'll get to a different section and we'll be like, oh, we love negative exponents. So it's tricky. Maths is fickle, but slowly and in time, they'll start coming together. Okay. All right, so let's start looking at some questions. So first one, I've started with something which is as easy as it can possibly get, okay? So we're just going to talk about some rules here that we're going to follow, that even in these super easy questions, we're going to follow them so that when we get to the tougher ones, we'll be able to implement those rules, okay? So the first thing we're wanting to do is we want them to have the same base. We want both of our things, so we want whatever's happening on the left and what's happening on the right, we want them to have the same base. Okay, in this case, what is the base that we would want both of ours to have? What base do we want both sides to have? 2. Yes, great. Okay, so this one already has a base of 2, which is awesome for us. Okay, then we just need to work on our 8. Now remember, you can use your calculator if you're struggling, so you can push 8 equals shift fact, and it will tell you that we can write 8 as 2 to the power of 3. Okay, so that's our first step. Our first step is we just want to get our bases the same. All right, next step. Once we've done that, the second thing we're going to do is once the bases are the same, so I'm just going to write this out. Once the bases are equal, the exponents are equal. So as soon as this is the same as that, then this is the same as this. So as soon as those bases are the same as each other, we can basically ignore them. And I can say that means that x is equal to 3. So our first step, let's just try and go through this. First step is we want to get our numbers to have the same base on both sides. And then once those bases are the same as each other, we can make the exponents equal to each other. And sometimes we have to do a bit more work to solve for x, but we would just get to our answer of x. Okay. Questions, screenshots, let me know. Okay. Tiana, yeah, hello.
Babe, I'm confused. How to make everything look the same?
You want the bases to be the same. So if this one over here has a base of 2, so we want this 8 to also have a base of 2. That's our goal. We want the bases to be the same as each other.
So why is the x 3?
So as soon as the bases are the same as each other, you can basically ignore them. And then whatever's written on the left in the exponents, you can say it's equal to whatever exponent is happening on the right.
Oh, good, thank you.
Okay. It'll come with some time, but these ones just take a bit of practice and they'll get a bit easier. All right. And we're going to see if we can get into some really tough ones by the end of the lesson. We'll see how it goes. Okay. This one we've got options because we could take everything all the way down to 3, but it'll actually be easier if we just keep it as 9. So if possible, if we can keep this the same, then let's keep that the same. Okay, so I'm going to write this as 9 to the power of x plus 1. How can I write this 81 as having a base of 9? How can... Sorry, I just giggled when I saw your name, Unasi. How can I write 81 with a base of 9?
Ma'am, you can write it as 9 squared.
Beautiful.
Ma'am,
I can write it as 9 squared. Sorry?
Can I solve the rest of the sum?
Absolutely, you can. Okay, so let's just, I'm gonna I might interrupt you a little bit as you're talking, but yes. So now where we're at is our bases are the same as each other. So where can I go to from here?
Ma'am, you can just take the bases away and it's going to be x plus 1 equals to 2.
Good. Okay, what would be my next step?
Ma'am, you take the 1 over to the 2, so it's going to be 2 minus 1.
Good. So therefore, what does x equal?
X equals to 1.
Yes. Lovely. Ooh, that was a very wonky
Yes, Unati, well done.
Great job. Nice. Yes, Gabriella, I'll pop up quickly. If anyone wanted a screenshot of this question, please take one. And if you have a question, you're welcome to ask. And then I'm just going to pop up to the last one for a second. Okay. The thing that I like the least about cold weather is that my tea gets so cold so quickly.
But then when you're halfway, you don't want your tea anymore.
These are my life struggles at the moment, guys. I also forget about my tea all the time. I make a cup of tea and I put it down somewhere and I have no memory of making the tea. And then I'll walk around at some point and I all of a sudden see this cup of tea and be like, ah, my tea, and then it's cold. It's a tough life. In a tank top. No, you guys are crazy. Flipping freezing. Okay. Do you want to try this one by yourselves? See if you can give it a go. See how it works. Give it a try. Just remember your steps and you'll be fine. Finally, Yusuf, finally. This is not even the ones that I said were going to be super hard. So you got a whole bunch coming your way. Okay. Sana, can you talk me through how to do this one?
Yes, ma'am. So first the bases need to be the same.
Good.
So 27, the base can be 3 to the power of 3.
Good.
And then since the bases are the same, you can cancel the bases out. So you'll be left with 2x minus 3 equals 3.
Beautiful.
And then you have to move the 3 to the other side of the equation. So it would be plus 3.
Good.
So it'll be 2x plus 6, or well, 6.
Yeah.
And then you're going to divide both sides by 2. So then it'll be x equals 3.
Yay! Well done.
Well done, Sana.
Awesome. Awesome.
That was
Awesome.
good.
Nice job, guys. How did this question go? Can you give me a rating on how you found this question out of 10? This one was easy. That's awesome, guys, because these ones, I thought this was a little bit nasty.
Wow.
Yeah. Don't worry, Shaden. They will. Oh no, Pumla, what's happening? Pumla, I'm sending you Linda your way.
Yes, Pumla, let's have a chat. And guys, remember, you can raise your hands also up, or you can talk to me directly.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let's move down. You knew I was going to bring in fractions. Oh, sorry, I see a hand before we move down. Yes, how can I help 553297? You need to unmute your side. So you should have gotten a notification to unmute and then you just sort of agree to it. Okay. I'm gonna move down, but if you unmute, then I can come back to you. Oh, there we are. Hello.
Okay. Hey guys, how are you guys? I can't get how you guys solve this equation like at all. I have a problem with logging in to my tablet so that I can connect with you guys. But then the sum that you all did here, I can't get even one. The number 3 one, I can get it, but not the way you guys explained it. So you could just explain it to me and get it to myself.
I think what might be easier is, so instead of us going through this one again, I think what might be easier is the more we do, I think with some extra practice and sort of seeing some extra ones, it will start filtering in. Remember, it's the first day we're dealing with exponential equations. If you're struggling a little bit, then that's okay. So just try each one, and if your method is a little bit different, that's also okay. They don't all have to be exactly the same. This is just the way that I find the easiest. Okay, let's have a look at this one. So for this one, I have brought in this idea of the fraction. So I want you to think about what we spoke about right at the beginning of this lesson, and I'm going to write something which is not exactly the same, but a little bit different so that you can get an idea of what to do. Just going to pop that over there for you to sort of think about as you're looking at this question. Yeah, you guys are doing great. Okay, Tando, can you please help me explain this question?
Ma'am, so firstly, we're going to change 1 over 27 to 27 to the power of -1.
Okay, we can do that. Yeah.
And then the next step will be 3 to the power of x plus 1 is equal to 27 to the power of 3 in brackets, and then -1. -1 is an exponent.
So what you've said is beautiful. I'm going to write it slightly differently because of the way we've spoken about it, but I want you to know that the way that you wrote that is great. Okay, so I'm just going to write it like this. So all I've done in this first step is change this 27 to being 3 cubed. And then in the next step, I'm moving that 3 cubed up and making it negative. But what you said, sweetheart, was great. Okay.
Yes,
all
ma'am.
right.
And then
it's
going to be x plus 1 is equal to -3.
Good. So now at this point over here, my bases are the same as each other. So because my bases are the same, we can say our exponents are the same. Good. Next step.
And then x is equal to -1 minus 1.
-1 minus 1.
Plus 1, sorry.
The -3 minus 1.
Oh, yes. And then x is equal to -4.
There we go. Lovely. Nice
Well
job.
done, Tando. Well done.
Lovely, lovely.
I thought this one was a little bit sneaky, but well done. You nailed it.
Yeah, these ones are nasty, guys. So if you're making mistakes as you go through these ones, that's perfectly normal. Don't panic. Nice, Unati. Great. Let's have a look. See how the rest of you did with this guy. Just be careful when you're moving things over that you're being careful with your signs. The tricky one with this one was converting this fraction. So you can do it in a whole bunch of different ways. There's a lot of different ways you could do this. I always find the easiest way is get that 27 to have the correct base that we care about. So in this case, 3 to the power of 3. And then when we move it up, so we're basically stopping it from being a fraction, we just make that exponent a negative. Okay. Cool. Nice. If you're struggling or you have questions, please just put your hands up so that we can try and go through them. Is there anything about this particular question, a step you don't understand where it's come from, a number you don't understand where it's come from? Okay. Thanks, Kira. Paji?
Hi, ma'am.
It's cool, man.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So, like, I have a question there.
Sure.
So, I say 3x plus 1 equals to 3 cubed. I only ended there. So, like, am I going to get it wrong or?
Yeah, they wouldn't give you any marks. The reason that they wouldn't give you any marks, it is nasty, but it's because sorry, I'm just going to make a slightly thinner here in a different color. Unati 2. Sorry, Unati 2. Well done, Unati 2, for getting it right. If I have 3 cubed, so like you wrote it as 3 cubed, that's actually equal to 27. It's not equal to 1 over 27. They're two very different numbers. And so because those two are not the same, like 3 cubed, sorry, 3 to the -3 would be 1 over 27. So if you didn't write that, if you wrote that, then they won't give you any marks.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so Yelena, Unati 2 has the big N, and Unati 1 is called Unati 1. Now we know. So we'll be prepared.
Yep, now we are sorted.
Let's see if any of you fall for my trap here. I'm warning you that this one has a trap. Let's see if you fall for it.
Let's do this, guys. Let's do it. Woo, let's go.
Nati's ready. That hand is up. And Kira's ready.
Remember
Kira, I'm
write
gonna.
the book,
Oh,
guys.
sorry, Linda. Oh, Kira's disappeared now. Okay, Unati. What is my first
Okay,
step?
ma'am. Ma'am, so you're gonna need to get the two bases to be the same.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be one is gonna equal to 2 to the power of 0.
Yes, good. Okay, remember when we see that 1, we have to think, okay, we're gonna panic, but we mustn't panic. We just need to get it to a base of 2, and so we can just say 2 to the power of 0. Excellent. Good. Next step.
Ma'am, so since the bases are now the same, you can just cancel them out and you'll be left with 2x minus 3 equals to 0.
Beautiful.
And then you're gonna have to move the 3 over, so it's gonna be 2x equals 0 plus 3.
So I'm just gonna write my 3.
Then you're gonna have to divide by 2 to get the x alone.
Good.
So ma'am, should I write it as a mixed fraction or can I just leave it like that?
No, leave it like this. So always leave your answers with equations as a normal fraction. That's great.
Okay,
Perfect.
ma'am.
Nice. Excellent.
Well done, Nati. Woo! Ace.
Unati 2, that's also great. 1.5 is definitely right. But when we're dealing with with equations, leave it as a fraction answer. It's just because it's called something. It sounds fancy, but basically what it is we're keeping the integrity of the number. That's what we say in maths lingo. So it just means that if there's going to be lots of decimal places, we're not rounding it off. So we're keeping the number as pure as possible. Okay. Tiana, hello, lovely. How can I help?
Babe, like, what if my calculator doesn't give a fraction? I must get a new one, but anyway, mine gives like a decimal. So is it wrong if I write a decimal?
It's not wrong. It's just that when you've written it at this step over here, just leave it like that. So you don't need to put it into your calculator. You can just leave it as 3 over 2.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Footy, hello, how can I help?
Ma'am, I do not. What you're saying is that when it is equals to 1, I must say 2 over 0. Why should I do that?
Yes. Okay, so as soon as you see a 1, you can make it with whatever base you want to the power of 0. So if I had something like 3 to the power of x is equal to 1, I'm allowed to say that that's equal to 3 to the power of x is equal to 3 to the power of 0. So whenever you have a 1, you can choose whatever base you want and make it to the power of 0.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sure. Yusuf, how can I help? Are you having an unmuting issue again? I don't know what happened.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, I wanted to say, regarding to what she said about when it appears as a decimal, will it be possible if we SD it, will it come into fractional form?
Yeah, so SD it will keep you as a fraction form. But like for these ones, you don't even need to go into your calculator. So whatever the fraction lands up being as your final answer, just leave it at that point. If that makes sense. Oh, you've disappeared again. What happened there? Okay.
I think Joseph just muted himself.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened.
Ma'am,
Unati, how can I help?
I wanted to ask, when are we gonna start doing like these type of questions with decimals?
With decimals?
Yes, ma'am.
we don't really do equations with decimals normally. Are you getting given those at school?
Yes, ma'am. Like for example, 0.4x to the power of x equals to 0.064.
Oh, so as soon as you're given it as a decimal like that, they're wanting you to write it as a fraction. So as soon as you see something like if they've written oh gosh, I'm in highlighter mode. If they've written something as like 0.4, for example, x, they're wanting you to write that as 4/10x.
Ma'am,
And then work with it like that.
Ma'am, but that's not how we did it.
With decimals at school?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I think decimals are not, if they have done, yeah, where is Alvarez? Tiana, it's a good question. If they have been doing decimals in your school, it is something that some schools do, but it's something that will fall away very quickly. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on it here, but if you have a question that's sort of bugging you with regard to decimals and equations, when we start our holiday school, is it next week? I think it might, or the week after next week, bring those questions and we'll deal with them in those first 15 minutes of the lesson. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Sure. Okay. And on cue, it is brain break. Yolanda, you missed my beautiful little picture that I found on Tuesday.
Oh, brain break. Look at that.
Look at that guy. It just makes me happy.
I love it.
It is brain break time. We have got, it's a maths one today. It's slightly different. It is slightly different, but it's not difficult. It looks worse than it is. I'm just going to say it like that. Okay.
Tiana was already asking, like, hey, ma'am, where is
Yeah, where is it? Fikile, don't panic. If you haven't learned these types of equations in class yet, it's perfectly normal to feel a little bit confused. Try and see what you can do in these lessons. And then remember, all of the videos are here. So when you do them in class, you always can just rewatch these as some extra help or some work before your tests or exams. Okay. Okay, so this is your question today. Slightly different to our normal one.
Wow.
And I would like to know what this question mark is over here. And I'm not going to ruin it like I did on Tuesday. I'm not going to ruin it today.
Wow, this one is really interesting. Brain work. Guys, let's start. Woo, Nati and Kiara.
I don't even write, ma'am. I don't even write.
What do you think it is?
I think the answer is 35.
That's right, Kiara.
Wow.
Nice, solid. Can you talk us through how you got there?
So you see, the Easter eggs, the eggs was 20. I mean, it was 10, and then it was 20. Wait. So, ma'am, so basically, the eggs was 10, which I just timed because I saw 2 eggs, Easter eggs. And then I saw that the 3 eggs was 1, and the bunny in the basket was 7, which I times by 2, which was 14, and I got 35 because I added up all together.
Oh my gosh, you were so close. So your answer is right, but some of your logic doesn't work. So I'm going to show you where you went right and where you went wrong, but some of it was great. But there was just the where it went just a little bit off here. Nice job, Alwetia. So you also got that. So if you start where I've highlighted pink here, these two together have to equal 10, which means my bunny has to be 8.
Oh, 8. But I thought
Yeah.
that I answer.
So like if you'd started with 7 there, then you're not going to get this 10 over here. So then there's 2 bunnies here, which would give me my 16. And then if that bunny is 8, then this egg over here must be 9. And there's 2 eggs here. So my eggs must be 18. And that means that these must be 1. And that gives us our total of 35. Nice job, though, Kira. That was really good work.
Thank
Well
you, ma'am.
done, guys. Everyone, well done. This brain is working. Because I was so confused.
Yeah, I know. You know, when I first saw this one, I was just like, oh my gosh, where do I start? And then as soon as I saw that little 2 chilling over there, I was like, okay, there we go. Tiana, yeah, how did this go?
I didn't know what to do. I was stuck like for 5 minutes looking at what's going on. So the 17 and the 3 had nothing to do with this.
Well, no, so you use the 17. So if you started in this like pink block over here, that's how you got the 8. And then the second thing you would do is you would look at this block over here, and then that would give you the 9.
Plus 8.
Exactly. So you kind of like moved in these little sections.
I used to be like putting like common one on top, and then you divide the common one, you get the ones under. I was like, yeah, I'm confused.
No, it was nasty. It was nasty. But it was good work. Nice. Great. Okay, let's try and jump into that one. Is just way too easy for you guys now. I want to do something a little bit trickier. I want us to look at something like this. Okay, so I'm going to talk you through this one a little bit, and then I'm going to let you try another one. Okay, these ones are like one step up. So the ones that we've done up to now, those will make up 90% of your exponential equations. They'll make up the majority of it. And then you're going to get ones like this, which are like one sort of like step up from what we're doing. So we need to think about our fundamental rules when we deal with exponential equations. And our first step is we need to get our bases the same. So when you see a number like 27 and 9, what base do you think we should have on both sides? What base would be on both sides? Yeah, great. Okay, because 3 to the power of 1 is 3. 3 to the power of 2 is 9. And 3 to the power of 3 is 27. Okay. And both of those numbers are what we care about. So instead of writing 27, I'm going to write 3 to the power of 3, but I'm going to keep it in brackets, and that's to the power of x plus 2, and that's equal to 3 to the power of 2. Okay, so that's our first step, and you get a mark for that step. You'll get a mark for getting them to the same basis. From this point, we now need to get this 3 to the power of 3 out of that bracket. Okay, and by doing that, we're actually going to distribute. So we're going to take that 3 and we're going to multiply it into both of those. So I'm going to write that as 3 to the power of 3x plus 6. And that's going to be equal to 3 to the power of 2. So all I did was I took this 3 over here and I multiplied it by the x. That gave me my 3x, and then I multiplied it by my 2, and that gave me my 6. Okay. Now we're at the place where our bases are the same as each other. And so now we can say our exponents are the same. So we can say 3x plus 6 is equal to 2. I'm going to move that 6 over. So 3x is equal to 2 minus 6. So 3x is equal to negative 4. And then we want to divide both sides by 3. And so x is equal to negative 4 over 3. And this is as hard as these questions can get in grade 9. This is really the top level of hardness these types of questions can get. Yusuf, yeah, how can I help?
Take back what I said, ma'am. Yo, this is hard, yo.
No, they are. These ones are tough. These ones are tough.
I just wanted to say, ma'am. So we keep like for everything that we write down, correct? So, like for example, you said 3 to the power of 2, and you put that under the 9. So yeah, it always has to be the same value as what was on top of it.
Exactly. So this 9 has to be exactly the same value as that 3 squared.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, no problem. Fatu, can I help?
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to ask, like when the negative sign is standing alone, is it like the same thing with like when it's with the 4?
So the negatives, so I could write negative 4 over 3, or I could write negative 4 over 3, or I could write 4 over negative 3, and they all mean the same thing.
Oh, okay, ma'am.
So it doesn't matter where you move it, because the whole fraction itself is negative.
Okay, ma'am.
So do it wherever it will bring you joy. Put that negative in that spot.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Sure.
We have a choice in this one.
Yeah. Choice of negatives. Okay. Do you feel ready to give one of these a try? Should we see how it goes? I'm excited.
Thumbs up, guys. Let's see. Okay.
Kira, take that no away. You can definitely try one of these by yourself.
You can do it.
You will be fine. I've set 2 traps here as a warning. There are 2 traps. See if anyone falls into my traps that I have set for you.
Write it down in your book, guys. Like this, we can correct and you can see where you went wrong. Also, it really helps me when I write it down.
I'm going to write my 1 trap on the board so that if you have fallen for this trap, you can tell me that you've fallen for the trap, but you can get yourself out of the trap. 16.
Unati's like, I'm ready.
I know, that hand is up. 16 is not equal to 8 to the power of 2. If you fell for that trap, you just take yourself out of it. That's a very normal trap, but it's not true. Because 8 squared is equal to 64.
Unati is also like saying, well, I'm ready. Yes, see. Yosef is already giving an answer. Guys, too fast.
So fast. It is 4 squared, but we're not going to want it to be 4 squared because then we're going to have an issue with our 8. Because we won't be able to get 8 to have a base of 4. I do see these hands and I'm very excited about them, but I think I'm actually going to talk through this one just because they're still quite tricky and new. But for the next one, I will definitely take the hands that come up, okay? Okay, so when we're dealing with a question like this, ooh, lots of places that people make sort of mistakes. The one place that they, don't ever apologize. The one place that they make mistakes is they often say, when they see an 8 and 16, they think I can make that a 16 to the power of 2. The other place they make a mistake is they think, oh, I could write 16 as 4 squared and I can write 8 as 4 squared. Not true, because 4 squared is 16, okay? But when we're stressed, specifically with maths, our head confuses what it means to times by 2 and put something to the power of 2. So when we think about 4 times 2, that gives us 8. And so sometimes our brain mushes that all together and we make a bit of a mistake. Okay, the hands that are up, if there are questions, I'm happy to answer them. So, but if they're not, I'm going to talk through this one. But if they're questions, keep them up. Jasmine, how can I help?
So is 16 to the power of 0 wrong for the first line?
Yeah, so 16 to the power of 0 would just give us 1, and that's not going to help us get to where we're wanting to get to.
Okay.
So we're only going to use that power of 0 when we have a 1 on the one side. Otherwise, we're going to keep it. Okay, but let me talk you through this one, and then let's see if people struggle, and then I'll go through some questions, okay? So when we look at this, the first thing we want to do is we want to get everything to have a base of 2. So I'm going to write that 8 as 2 cubed to the power of x minus 1. And I'm going to write this as 1 over 2 to the power of 4. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys 2 marks there. If you wrote that 2 cubed and you have the brackets and you wrote this as 1 over 2 over 4 or any variation of that. So if you wrote it as 16 to the power of negative 1, give yourself a mark. Okay. Next step, I'm going to take this over here and I'm going to distribute that 3 into that x and into that negative 1. So I'm going to say that's going to become 2 to the power of 3x minus 3. And I'm going to move this 2 to the power of 4 up. And so when it moves up, my exponent is going to become negative. give yourself a mark for getting that 3x minus 3 and a mark for the negative 4. iPhone, how can I help?
Is it possible to change the fraction to a decimal and then try work from there?
Try and keep decimals as out of equations as possible. So we always want to keep things in fractions where we can.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Kilabukile, can I help?
Ma'am, I have a question.
Sure.
Where did the 24 come from?
24. There's no 24. That's 2 to the power of 4.
Sorry, ma'am.
It's okay.
That's okay.
Maybe my 4 was aggressively big. Sorry about that. Nkateko, yeah.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
Okay, ma'am. Why did you turn your positive 4 into a negative 4?
Because I don't want to be dealing with a fraction. We don't want a fraction. We want everything to be whole numbers.
So, ma'am, even if I leave it like that, I won't get a wrong mark, right? I won't get it wrong.
They would stop marking if you don't change it to this.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. From here, our bases are now the same as each other. They both have 2 on both. So now I can say my exponents are the same. So I can say 3x minus 3 is equal to negative 4. And then I'm going to move this 3 over. So 3x is equal to negative 4 plus 3. Which means 3x is equal to negative 1. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 3. And so x is equal to negative 1 over 3. Who landed up getting this one right? Let me.
Nico got it right. Well done.
Nice. Tando, is this a question?
No, ma'am. I almost got this one right, but then my answer was 1 over 3 instead of negative 1 over 3.
So irritating. Okay, so
Nice.
when you moved this fraction up, did you make that a negative 4?
No, ma'am.
That's where it went wrong. So just always be careful. As soon as you're going from a fraction to a non-fraction, that exponent needs to change.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Sure.
Well done, guys, for this one and for trying.
Nice.
And fix mistakes.
Okay. Amber, yes, hello.
With the answer, negative 1 over 3, is the whole fraction negative or only the 1?
Yeah, so that's what I was saying just now. You can write that negative anywhere. So as soon as one of the numbers is negative, the whole fraction becomes negative. So you can write that negative sign wherever you want it to be.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, sure. Okay, let's try one more. Not a super nasty one, but one more, and then I'm going to leave you for your quiz. Yeah, this one's not too bad. This one's actually quite nice. So you could do this one 2 very different ways. One way will be considerably nicer than the other one.
Let's do this, guys. Let's do it. Woo! I get excited.
I love it. Inati, you're going to talk me through?
Yes, ma'am.
Beautiful.
Ma'am, so is it okay if I left it as 9?
Yes, it's totally okay. I'm going to show everyone both ways, but totally fine for you to keep it as 9.
Okay, ma'am. So the next step is going to be 9 to the power of 2x equals to 1 over 9 squared.
Beautiful. Good.
Then the next step is going to be 9 to the power of 2x equals 9 to the power of negative 2.
Good. And guys, make sure that that 2 is a negative up there. Make sure that this is a negative 2. Good. Next step.
Ma'am, it's gonna be, then you cancel out the 9s.
Good.
So what's gonna be left is 2x equals to negative 2.
Good.
Then to get the x alone, you have to divide by 2 on both sides. So it's gonna be x equals to negative 1.
Excellent. Glorious. Nice. Nice work. Okay, I'm going to quickly show you a different way you could do it. You could also write it as having a power of 3. So you could say that as 3 to the power of 2 to the power of 2x is equal to 1 over 3 to the power of 4. So 3 to the power of 4x is equal to 3 to the power of negative 4. And you will see you get to the exact same answer. Okay, guys, I do see these hands. I would love to answer them, but I got to jump onto my next class. I'm going to leave you with Yolanda, and she'll be able to help. And then she's going to give you the link for the quiz this evening. Okay, love you lots. See you next week.